I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
For AutoSave, welcome to our
The
channel.
Directing Solo Leveling Season 1, Episode 3. Last episode, we unlocked the qualifications to become a player. And we accepted. What does that mean?
I guess we're gonna find out what that means.
Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. On the altar. The closest to death you could possibly be.
We got out. Did we walk out? How'd we get out?
Maybe we woke up in a different world. Surveillance team. I kept thinking something was wrong with our audio and the fade in, fade out.
The beginning of the song. A lot of the opening is the statues from that dungeon, that room in the dungeon.
What are you surveying? Like, are you surveying the sites, like, with the portals, or are we, like, charting the dungeons within the 7 days?
Is this something that's been seen before? Or are we surveying him because he should not have been able to survive that?
But how would we be able to tell? It's not like they had cameras in there prior to this.
But they probably know from everyone else that got out. They're probably gonna surveil him now.
What's in his hand? Did you see that? It's purple. 3 days.
I'm sure he's okay with that.
Jesus.
White Tiger Guild. We know him.
The arm and leg are back. What? Damn.
Second awakening.
Okay.
So there are rare
There's a
occasions.
precedent.
I wonder if those are players. I don't think it's gonna show him what he wants to see. We're all for a rude awakening right now.
Something different. There isn't a precedent for being a player.
He's only a 10? Maybe it has to be kept a secret?
What? Aww. No, just him. Daily quest.
So you give it orders maybe verbally.
Song-yi.
Penalty.
Uh-oh. What would the penalty be?
From a potion. Was that a timer?
Chairman, go.
そうか。次の B 級レイド、チャさんは教官役として参加してください。
As an instructor.
君はいつも通り戦っていれば大丈夫です。みんなその背中を見て学ぶ。
Yeah.
君にはそれだけの実力があります。我々ハンタースギルドは国内の5大ギルドに数えられていますが、
Hunters
世界
Guild.
的に見ればまだ不十分。来たるべきその時のために。
For any breaks.
Ready when the time comes.
Damn, that's extremely inconvenient. Uh-oh. What's the penalty?
Does the penalty happen to the real world? Like he's not gonna suffer the consequences individually?
What the fuck?
If you weren't gonna do that strength training, you're gonna do training here. Survive. For how many? Wait, hours?
4 hours?
There was nowhere to hide. It was a desert. He was literally transported. It must be the one that was inside the street.
Jesus.
How could he even have ran for that long? That's my question. Narrowly escaping.
Oh my god. Survival.
Penalty quest survival. God, he looks awful.
What's the reward?
They're gonna wonder if they ever checked under the bed for him. That's gonna keep them up at night. Is it the one in the middle of the street?
Yeah, I think so.
D rank.
Aww.
But he's not gonna. If she's at the hospital, he's not gonna be there.
Okay. Ability points. That's sick!
Distribute the points!
Do it evenly!
I was about to say that.
Inventory. Random loot box. Whoa. Can people see the loot box?
I'm sure it would appear like it just randomly appears. What
A
key?
key.
Wait.
Instance dungeon. I'd be terrified to go back.
Today's gate report is like a weather report. Four years ago.
Eternal sleep disease.
With the gates!
あなたはハンターの資格を得ました。
やったぞシナ。これで母さんの治療費を稼げるぞ。
でも危険なんでしょ。
大丈夫だよ。俺に任せろって。
Uh,
もうお前隅っこでじっとしてろ。いい急な足引っ張りやがってよ。言っとくが、働かねえやつと山分けなんてしねえからな。すみません、役立たずで。
damn.
能力値ポイント、筋力、装備は整えた。やるべきこともやった。
Oh shit. This is so cool. I didn't know I liked doors and keys this much. I would give anything to be able to do this. Whoa.
I'm sure you only get out once you complete the dungeon.
宇宙を塞がれたのか。
Huh?
Can they see you?
なるほど、ここは全くの異次元なんだ。
This is like Elden Ring.
ただのダンジョンじゃない。行ったことはないけど、多分レッドゲートに似た概念なんだろう。
Red gates.
機関石？何？
Teleportation
クリア
stone.
するまで出られないってこと？ E 級のモンスターも倒せない俺に一人でダンジョンを。
Do you think that the dungeon is equivalent to the strength that he has right now and the points that he's earned? What if, like, you can't just beat it with strength? What if you need defense or speed?
Intelligence. You can
Alright,
just squeeze their heads like the apple.
let's go, Jinwoo.
Well, we're handling them
shot.
all right now.
That was a long shot. That's awesome. Nice! Oh!
Oh!
I don't think that was the boss, though.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is probably the structure of a normal dungeon, even if it's different.
強くなってる。
Oh!
狼。感覚でわかる。さっきの
Steel fanged
はるかに
lichen.
強い。足が動かない。なんでだよ。まさか怖くてトラウマなんてないと思ったのに。
How could you not be?
くそ。
Oh.
What do we do?
We don't even get to know what we do!
The outro is so fascinating. Because it could mean nothing. None of this could mean anything. And it could all be just fun.
I mean, if there were people that could have a second awakening, wouldn't they want to study them?
Yeah.
Not that that's actually gonna happen, but definitely gives that.
Okay, that was Solo Leveling Season 1, Episode 3. We are in an instance dungeon.
Yep. We got a key from one of our random loot boxes, and that key has opened an instance dungeon.
Yeah, like the whole like dimensional entrance was so weird and wild. Like we saw that
That was
woman
amazing.
walking
I
through.
know, I loved that. It also apparently it reminded him, even though he's never been to a red gate or in a red gate, he wondered if it was similar to a red gate.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have a lot of questions about what a red gate is now, because we've seen a bunch of blue gates. I'm like, what is a red gate? What's the difference inside a red gate?
That's fair. That's a good question. I'm wondering at what point do your stats max out, if they
Ooh.
can max out, and I also want to know how they, you know, equate to what level or grade dungeon we're in. Like, we're in an instance dungeon, sure. Would we still put this in that E category? Because I probably would, based off of watching. However, Jin Woo's at 31 strength, which is a lot more than his base 10, and obviously he's doing stuff here, right? He's actually getting kills, but still, it doesn't seem like he's miles and miles stronger.
I feel like if it is formatted anything like a video game, it needs to be still a challenge, but while it's a challenge, it needs to be something befitting of the progress that you've made thus far. That's normally how that like next boss battle would work if you are upping your different abilities. I part of me is like, oh well, obviously we have all these like ability points, skill points that we're able to add into strength, agility, vitality, intelligence, perception, that sort of thing. But a lot of times in video games, you're also able to increase your
HP
actual
and mana.
HP. Yeah, like it says 100 out of 100, but in video games, a lot of the time you can go above 100.
Well, yeah, you wonder if you increase vitality past 10 here, if then it starts moving up past 100 for the scale, or 10.
I feel like since he's going into this instance dungeon with the mindset that he's only going to be upping his strength, I feel like there has to be some sort of point in time, whether it's within fighting this Lycan with like the steel jaw within this moment or something else that's going to transpire in the future. It's going to make him be like, oh, maybe I should be divvying it up a little more equally, these skill points that I'm getting.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, let's get it out of the way. We have 21 skill points basically at towards the end of this episode that we could have applied anywhere. Obviously, Jin Woo applies it to strength, and we get the understanding of why and the reasoning. Do you do anything different and why?
I feel like, okay, so think about perception. If he had had the perception skill a little higher, would he have been able to sense that the goblins were lurking where they were lurking and been aware and not shocked or surprised by the Lycan's entrance and been more prepared for the foes suddenly appearing?
Interesting. However, I already think Jinwoo, even though everything's a 10, I think Jinwoo's perception naturally is pretty high, and he's probably pretty gifted, so I wouldn't start there.
That brings up a really good conversation point, which is, this isn't talking about your natural skill, the skills you already possess, seemingly. Because if you also think about what was the first strength training quest that he was supposed to complete that he didn't actually complete, was crunches and push-ups and running and things that would actually help your physical ability, nothing to do with these magical skill points, but actually a natural means to strengthening yourself. And then he was forced to run for 4 hours as a penalty, basically.
Yeah. I'm thinking I go agility, like, main. And I'm only saying that because what if you fuck up again? What if you fuck up again and get another penalty? Like, get me as far away from the sandworms as possible.
I could definitely see that in like a comedic situation where as soon as you get out of that penalty survival quest, you would then be like, let's put at least 1 point in agility.
I think like also just how, like my style of how I like playing games and stuff is like, okay, if I get 1 hit, I'm fine. I don't care. That like I'm gonna be upset, but it's kind of the challenge, right? I don't even want to like one-shot people. I want to move around, dodge a bunch. They can't touch me and beat them that way.
I often make sure that I don't neglect intelligence.
Interesting.
As well. I feel like if this was me, I would definitely be dispersing it a little more evenly, but also I don't think I would be putting as much into strength anyway, because if I was born into this world and was able to awaken some sort of power, I would sure hope it was a magical ability, like literally being a mage or something with fireballs.
All right, got that out of the way. Second awakenings exist. That is not what happened to Jinwoo. But
seemingly.
The precedent is there that it's happened before, which is really interesting. I wonder if we'll ever meet a character like in depth who's gone through that Jinwoo can look at as some sort of parallel or talk to about it to really notice the difference between a player and a second awakening.
He had to touch the mana meter to see if he had the second awakening. And apparently second awakenings can even take you to A rank or S rank in I guess the history of it happening. I wonder what is the kind of moment that second awakenings normally happen? Is it instances that are similar to what happened to Jinwoo? Like, you're against these really strong opponents and it's just something within your body like snaps and it awakens, like you're pushed past your limits?
Read what we get from it. A hunter's power is determined upon awakening, which we know, and it never changes from that point on. Yeah, but on rare occasions, a hunter can go through a second awakening. It lets them exceed their previous limits and rise to A or even S rank. Maybe I could too.
Yeah. Like, I doubt someone's just like waking up one morning and they're like, we're in E rank yesterday, and they just wake up randomly and they touch a manometer and suddenly they're in S rank. Like, I feel like
You're thinking it has to come through some like some instance that's
pushed
happening
to the brink, you know, something where
I think it could be either.
I mean, it really could, but
we
it's
saw
hard for me
Jinwoo
to
just
imagine.
walking on the street, and then he's like, "Whoa!" Or no, he was in the construction site working his job, and he's just like, "Whoa, something
That's
happened."
when the like
the
awakening
first one happened. I imagine that a second
so people are
awakening
just
could do
like-
the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, so people could just be walking around and then suddenly they feel this like pulse within their body.
Don't get me wrong;
It's
it'd
good
be
to bring
cooler
that
in a
up.
fight. Like
Yeah, it
I
would
agree
be-
with you.
I
but
mean, it'd
yeah.
be cool in an anime to have it happen in a fight so that we could see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get what his score is. It's a 10.
Yeah.
And apparently E ranks normally get like around or over a 70.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty sure when we saw that young guy that was, I guess, being kind of taught a little bit about the Hunters Association and the Hunters, I feel like his score when he touched the giant orb, which I imagine is also a manometer, I think it was like 75, if I'm remembering correctly.
Let me bring it up, but because I don't think we saw Sung Yi's score.
No,
we just saw that she was there.
We just saw that she was there.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we're seeing someone getting something that's similar to an E rank that's not her, that makes me wonder if she got something a lot better.
That's so interesting.
And maybe, but then again, why wouldn't she then go tell her friend? Like, why wouldn't she be like, Jinna, I did the test and this was my score? She just wants to be better than Jinwoo, or imagines she would be better than him.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, by that dialogue, that she didn't get a good score.
Let's see if we can find it. So yeah, you're right. Around 74, 75. So he would be E rank as well under those.
And she was next, maybe.
Yeah, but we didn't get to see. Interesting.
Yeah, we have no clue. But by her, the way she was talking to his sister, it does give a person that didn't get the score they hoped they'd get and are hoping to surpass whatever limits that they're currently under.
I could see that.
So yeah, definitely interesting there.
Do you think that we're going to be able to defeat the instance dungeon that we're in, or we're going to at some point acquire a teleportation stone or already have one to get out? Because those are the only two ways that we can leave.
Well, we definitely, as far as we know, the viewer, he doesn't have a teleportation stone.
Yeah.
I feel like once you get a little better, that might be something dropped in a random loot box, but
like
it's definitely not something we've gotten yet in a random loot box. We've been getting like bandages.
The idea that you get a full recovery for like completing your daily quest is one of the most quality of life things I've ever seen. I'd be so happy with the devs I would never get to meet, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that he will be able to
defeat the wolf,
this instance dungeon, because I feel like he has to be able to, because I don't think he has the ability to teleport out of here.
Yeah.
So there has to be something that he's gonna realize in this life or death situation.
Oh, poor Johi. I get it, man. Holy shit, what you had to see, but especially knowing like her character as somebody who was going into lower ranked dungeons because of the anxiety and fear of trying to do the higher ranked ones.
My question about Johi is whether or not she will actually retire. Because in this episode, like, obviously we find out her situation that she's in within this episode or episode 2, in terms of needing psychiatric help and not knowing if she will retire or not. But in this episode, she gets a call kind of requesting her help in the dungeon that probably had appeared in the middle of the street. And then she goes to visit Jinwoo because she hears that he's woken up, and she is privy to and overhears the conversation with the nurses of them kind of commenting about a hunter's character.
Yeah.
That even though he just woke up, he's still pushing, he's still
and
running.
He's recovering very quick.
So quickly.
Yeah.
And I wonder, why are we having that character listen into this conversation and see for herself he just woke up after 3 days and he's running, and I see him out the window running. What are we trying to have happen to this character, Johi, by her witnessing this upon just being asked for help for another gate?
Johi would be the perfect character, and one of the only characters, because Song's retired now after losing an arm, who could be like our gate of seeing the before and after of Jinwoo's strength and how it's increased. Like, if we could see her shock and her surprise at Jinwoo's ability going up and knowing that that's not allowed really in this world. So I'm hopeful that that's the case.
Part of me like doesn't want her to retire purely because I want more instances of just interaction between Johi and Jinwoo. But then for her own like safety and sanity, I'm like, well, maybe she should retire.
Yeah.
But then again, out of the two, we already have one that's definitive retired, Sung. So I feel like she isn't going to retire.
Yeah. All right.
Who knows? Okay.
Talking about Mom, this is
we're
going to get
talk
weird.
about Mom next?
Eternal sleep disease, 4 years ago. It's also known as final rest. It's a disease that came into existence with the appearance of the gates. It affects roughly 1 in every several 10,000 people. There are theories that it's caused by the continual exposure to mana. So how would that connect to the gate, like gates being present? Like, how does a continual exposure to mana correlate with that?
Yeah, how are you getting an exposure to mana if you're not maybe going into the gates yourself or living beside one? They only last like a week.
Yeah.
You know? How are you getting only this certain amount of people are getting so heavily exposed to it, or are maybe a little more susceptible to it, weak immune system? I don't know what the situation is.
Really
she has a scar on her neck.
Do you think that it like there's no way it correlates to like a family thing, right? Like, what if somebody in your family, like one of these several 10,000s, are affected by eternal sleep disease, therefore somebody else in your bloodline is able to become a hunter or is able to become a player even?
Like, is there any connection to the awakening of abilities and someone in your family falling ill? If anything,
or maybe not even family, maybe just humanity in general. You know,
one person is weak to it, therefore one person becomes a hunter. Did we ever really even get a number of how many
hunters
people
there are?
awaken
I don't know.
a power and are able to become a hunter? One of my questions actually that kind of I feel like relates to that is, obviously Gina has never said to us or to her brother that she would go and take a test to see if she could be a hunter. She would never touch the manometer and see what her score would be. She says, if anything, I would quit school and just get a job, like a regular job. I do wonder how her score would compare to her brother.
I think it'd be 0 or like
Really?
1. Yeah, I don't think she's had an awakening.
I agree with that. Obviously, I think you'd have to have an awakening to then even go get tested.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would have been something that we would have been told prior, that she could even have that possibility. Because I feel like if I was the little sister in this situation and I had an awakening and my brother was suffering so much and had such a low score like that just to like take care of our family, I would go secretly to get myself tested 100%.
I wonder if it's a disease that came into existence with the appearance of the gates, does that wager that if the gates disappear, the disease goes away?
Probably. I feel like if you get rid of the gates completely, there's going to be a bunch of people just waking up. That's what I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, you were right to point out the scar that looks like
on
behind her neck, but it could be anything.
It really could, but also like, why put a scar on a character sleeping in a bed?
Let's get weird with it too. There are theories that it's caused by continual exposure to mana. We don't know why Dad left or went missing, right? There could be something that he was doing in relation to this.
Right, and when did he go missing? We never get an actual timeline of when Dad went missing. Did he go missing before Mom got this sickness?
I'm gonna pull it up because for some reason it came across to me initially like it was right after the mom got the sickness, but I am basing that off of nothing. Yeah,
and he's not there when she collapses and they take her to the hospital.
Yeah.
Which gives that... See, I had taken it immediately upon hearing Dad's missing, that he left. We had both, I think, brought up the idea of, like, because of the financial burden, did Dad, like, hightail it out of there?
Yeah.
But with the fact that he wasn't even there for her kind of falling ill in the first place, at least in the flashback he wasn't there, he could have been at work. It makes me think maybe he did go missing beforehand, before Mom got sick.
Okay, let's see. Likewise, We're voting on if we're going to go into the door. We do go into the door. And we're thinking about our reasons. Even a D-rank dungeon is dangerous for me. But now that Dad's gone missing, I'm the only one who can provide for my family. I need money for Mom's treatments and to send my sister to college. It's like, and now that I guess because it happened chronologically in his list, I assume that happened like right after his mom left. I don't know.
I understand why we would have read that line or that dialogue as the now having such a presence in that sentence of that is so recent.
Yeah.
But if anything, I feel like the focus of it is he's the sole person that can make money in the family now because now that Dad's missing, I'm the one.
Yeah.
And not necessarily an emphasis on now, like it just recently happened. But then again, we're still trying to look through the evidence.
A continual exposure to mana. And if you're like, you're obviously around your son a lot, and if he awakened, he's gonna have mana. But if you're around your husband a lot too, you know, could be something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So yeah, we have a bunch of questions here, but honestly, I was really surprised to find out that her sickness, her illness, her disease had anything to do with the gates. I think that's a really nice touch. I feel like if any, it just fits to me because if you feel like if we had any contact with something not of this world, or even when people first had contact with other groups of people, one of the main things that would happen is the spread of illnesses that had never been seen before.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to me that if we're now having contact, even with magical beasts, that some other issues, unprecedented, had never happened before, would now happen, other than just physical brute strength battling. There would be other fallout issues.
The best that modern medicine can provide is life support. I wonder if the implication in modern medicine there are the essence stones and like the eternal sleep activating with the gates means that something brought by the gates is the medicine that can keep them alive, you know?
Can there be something found within dungeons that could then completely cure and wake up?
Yeah.
If this comes from the gates and the thing that we're using as life support is from the gates, then maybe a cure would come from the gates.
Yeah.
But we also talked about a cure coming from the gates being dealt with completely also as being a possible solution. How do you even deal with the gates completely? I don't know, because apparently they pop up so often and so randomly that we have like reports about it on the TV, like broadcasts daily. Oh, don't go this way. Traffic's gonna look bad. Go this way instead.
Yeah. My last thing is Cha is going to be an instructor for B rank raids just by being there. They don't need to be a teacher, just teach by fighting.
Yeah, my comment on this being added in, obviously we had determined when we first saw her that we felt like she was probably going to be a character we were going to see more often. The idea of having her be an instructor opens the question to me of, is she going to instruct or eventually train someone that we know?
Yeah.
Is she going to inevitably train Jinna's friend, you know, that was just getting tested to be a hunter? Is she going to work with Jinwoo in some capacity? I don't know. It's
Good
the
questions.
possibility.
Yeah.
I feel like I had two more things really. So one of them is kind of in this conversation actually. So after we ask Miss Cha to be an instructor, we have this kind of like ominous line from Chairman Choi or Guildmaster Choi. He's not the chairman, he's the Guildmaster. And the line is, so that we will be ready when the time comes.
Yeah?
He says it really ominously. He's in front of the logo for his, like, hunters. I think he's,
While
he's
individual ranks can't be increased or collective combat ability can be honed, so that we'll be ready when the time comes. Isn't that, like, in reference to, like, when the gates can break open and break through?
But previously, like, right before he says that, he brings up that, yeah, in this country, we're one of the 5 largest guilds, but on international levels, we are unremarkable.
Yeah.
So that opens to me like, okay, this is on an international scale. So these gates are not just popping up in this country. I feel like that's cool information.
Definitely.
But, like, yeah, it doesn't have to be read as ominous, but I feel like he could see, we don't know, are scientists looking at this and seeing, is there a steady increase to gates appearing? Is there a steady increase to gates of higher rankings appearing? You know,
Yeah.
is there the possibility that we're looking at the grand scheme of things, we're zooming out, and over 10 years, things have been getting worse?
I wonder what the relationship between Guildmaster Choi and the surveillance group is like.
So the surveillance team, I think they work for. I used chairman before for Choi, but it's Chairman Go, and I believe he's probably in charge of like the hunters in general, the Hunters Association.
Gotcha.
And they're his surveillance team, which also just gives me a bunch of questions like what are you surveying?
Because
Obviously,
it's the hunter associations, right? I imagine that the hunter association has their own independent thoughts on each different guild, you know?
actually that does bring me up to like something else. We get to see a character from the first episode come in and be the one that finds Jinwoo.
Yeah.
It's the White Tiger Guild are apparently the ones that find him, and it is one of the characters from the first 3 minutes of like the first episode from 3 years ago. He's the one that finds him.
Yeah.
And a guy that looks like one of the guys from the surveillance team also.
It also looks like he like they're in a rush, right? He's not even in his battle wear. He's like, holy shit, okay, like we heard about this, we're on our way, you know?
Right. So I think that I wanted to bring that up because not only are we having Cha kind of being shown to us, we're seeing her, but she's not interacting with our main character yet. But now we have one of the big names, one of the people from the first episode, actually directly seeing the crazy survival of our main character, which definitely leads me to believe that like we're gonna have some interactions with him in the future. And I don't know what that would actually be, but I just wanted to bring up that like he's the one that finds Jinwoo.
That's super fair. I liked when the surveillance team was like talking about what conclusions they were to come like based off of this, right? Like, oh, all these people are dead and all of the like there's no evidence here. The doors are gone magically. If it wasn't for everybody's identical accounting of the instance that happened, we might have jumped to other conclusions.
Right.
I was like, whoa.
Another thing that like this is my last thing. I feel like when you have a situation like this in the world where we start developing these separate guilds and we kind of maybe fight for recruits, or maybe like, oh, there's this new A rank recruit, we want him, we're gonna offer him this much money or whatever.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a competition between them. But in the 3 years ago flashback, seemingly seemed like this guy that we see come save Jinwoo, which I believe is in the White Tiger Guild, was fighting at the same time as Guildmaster Choi.
Yeah.
Because they look over and they see a smoke cloud and they're like, oh, they're dealing with the ants too over here. So it makes me think, like, what was this thing 3 years ago? Was this an event so big that the guilds had to work together? Like, all of the top guilds had to work together?
The way, like, I imagine, like, how are you going to take control and monitor every gate in the entire fucking world? It gave me that we were fighting in our world. We weren't in a dungeon or another world that we went through to a
so
portal.
Maybe this was the first time that's how we learned that dungeons could go berserk or
maybe
something?
Or just like an area had a massive amount of gates to the dimensions like appearing in one area. You couldn't handle them all. This entire continent was brigaded.
That's
you know,
so true, because don't we see the military ships in the water at the very, very beginning of episode 1? So, okay, what that opens the question up for me is, if we're having gates pop up even internationally, imagine the gates on a random island that no one lives on. They're gonna end up opening up.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Ooh, okay. Things are getting interesting.
Definitely. Okay. You good?
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hope to see you next time.